Hello, welcome to Gary's Garage. Today we're working on a Volkswagen Golf GTI. Some people just call it a GTI. It's a Mark 6. It's the 2-liter turbo, and what we're doing today is we're replacing the front struts. So it's not a complicated job, but you do need a bunch of tools. You need to pull the axle shaft bolts out. You need to be able to get the car up in the air. You need to be able to undo the bolt to hold the ball joint in, loosen that up, and take everything that's on the strut off, and then drop it out off the towers at the top. We've got these quick change ones that are full assemblies. This is a friend of mine's son's car, and they're supplying the parts, so it's all ready to go. So let's get started. They're not stock wheels. They have some. Well, that one's tight up. Tip time. So, factory will tell you to take the center cap out of the wheel, put the lift the car up. You take the wheel off the center cap, put the wheel back on, put it on the ground, put your power bar on, and then crack this loose. Well, that's a lot of trouble. It's a lot of double work. But what you can do, and this is a 24 millimeter 12 point that you need to take this bolt out, is you can use, I got this little beater screwdriver, you put it in the bottom. You want to make sure that the force is on the caliper bracket, not the caliper, because you don't want to bend I doubt you'd bend the pins, but just to be on the safe side, you're going to need a little bit of force, because I can't remember, it's like 150 or 200 foot-pounds I have to. Oh, this is going to be a tough one. Well, looks like we're going to be in for some trouble. Alright, so we got the 3/4 inch drive, the adapter, and a big snipe. If this doesn't, there we go. Yeah. I was going to get the big impact out, but the idea is to show you the top tip of how to do this. So I'll stitch these together for my little short. Anyway, it's loose now, and I can put a gun on and pull that out when it's time to pull it out. Anyway, that's the top tip of the day. In preparation for getting these bolts out, a little bit of penetrant oil is a good idea, especially for these winter zone or snow zone cars that have fair bit of rust on them. So just give her a go here, and then along the top here in this joint all the way around, that was going to help hopefully get that off when the time comes. All right, next step is to remove these bolts. I'm just going to loosen them. I'll take them off. Later, once I got everything else connected. It's a 16 millimeter. You can also use 5/8 if you don't have a 16 deep, because it needs to be a deep socket. Okay, one of the things you have to take off is the sway bar link. It is attached to the strut, and there's a bolt that goes through. It has an Allen center, which is 5 millimeters, and the nut is 18 millimeters. So what you want to do is get it in a position so that, oh jeez. Once you crack it loose, you can then just use a ratchet on the center, and that'll make a little bit. We're good. Do this by hand. And you can put it at the side. What I'll do is I'll put the nut back on the link. Just move it aside. And there we go. Now I just got to get the brake line holder and the ABS sensor wire clip taken off. So let's. Okay, so the wire's on the top and it just slides out. I'm just using a screwdriver. Be gentle. You don't want to disturb it. And then there's a little clip. In reality, you could leave the clip on and just unbolt it, but the hose interferes. You could use a wrench, I guess, inside the socket. But it's pretty easy just to take the clip off and then lose it on the floor of the garage. And then from there, you can just find a way of getting this. Oh, there you go. Just push it out towards the rear and off it comes. And now we can take this bracket off if we feel that it's in the way. You can probably manage it without, but I think I'm going to take it off. It's going to make it easier for you guys to see as well. So let's do that once I find a clip. Well, found the clip, put it in my magnetic tray, all set. Okay, get you in here. Come on. There we go. So for this bracket, it's a 10 millimeter. Because of the interference of the rotor and the dust shield, we're into doing it with a wrench. I have a ratchet wrench, but it'd take longer to go get the thing than to do it like this. This is not too difficult. There we go, spinning out. That's off. Not absolutely necessary to do this, but it'll give you a good view of this joint, this is what I'm hoping isn't too hard to get out, because this strut assembly has to come out of the knuckle. There's a split bolt in the back. That's actually the next thing to take off. So let's rearrange the camera and you can take a look. All right, to separate the knuckle from the strut, we'll need to remove this bolt. This is a pinch bolt. And on the bolt head is an M14 triple square. This is one of the special tools you need for this job. For some people, this is not a special tool. It's part of your toolbox if you work on German cars. And the other side is an 18 millimeter. And this is torqued to, I think it's about 100 foot-pounds. I'll look it up and give you the actual number later on. And then come on, baby. There we go. Go this way. There we go. Excellent. Ooh. Still not turning easy on the other side. Okay, I'm going to get a power tool. We're going to buzz this out. Try and make sure that you can see. There we go. Now, this bolt does have to come out, and you'll see what these struts. I'll probably show you the new one, what the strut looks like, because there's a blade at the back that goes in between the pinch of the knuckle. It's designed so you can hammer this out. I'm going to use my brass hammer, and hopefully that will come out. I think I may spin it first with the air tool. So here we go. I just turned it back and forth a couple of times to break the rust. by using a brass hammer, the brass deforms instead of the bolt. So now I can work on, boy, that's rusty. Now I can work on getting that out. That may take a bit. So a little bit of prying, a little bit of penetrating fluid, a little bit of turning. I think it should be able to get it out. And once that's out, we're going to move on to breaking this. What I'm doing here, I make it so you can see. Nice. Let's just get a punch, and thing I want to do is remove this bolt completely. There we go. Looks like it's got a little bit of oil on it. Should be dry. We're gonna clean it up, and so that's ready to go. You can use the bolt itself to make sure that the drive shaft moves in the hub. So again, back to the brassing. Make sure you got enough threads on there. Looks like it's moving, so yeah, it's moving. All right, to release the strut from the knuckle, there's a special tool. I don't have it, so I've made one. I've got this is a broken 1/4 inch drive extension. I've ground 2 flat areas and sort of slightly rounded them off, and then made 2 small flats on the side which will hold it open, and then I've hammered on a nut. I may have to weld this, I'm not sure. Kind of thinking it probably will, but we'll see. I've got it down onto the knurl, so we're going to slide that into the gap. There's a place to do this, and this is a 9/16 nut. I'm going to put in a deep socket, and then hopefully we're going to turn it 90 degrees. I've marked it so that I can see when I've got that turn. But anyway, here's the tool and how to make a tool in case you want to do the same. All right, so there's the tool in place. Hard to film this, but I've inserted it, and it's too long. I'm going to have to shorten this tool, but I was able to turn it 90 degrees, and I don't know if you can see my little blue stripe there. So once that's horizontal, then you know that it's spread out, and so now we're going to be ready to hammer this off, but we won't start until we pull down the lower control arm. We've got these bolts loose, and now we can take these nuts off. They're just finger tight, and then I can pull that lower control arm down and get this knuckle. Now the thing you got to keep in mind is once you get this off, the only thing holding it on is going to be the steering arm. So you want to support this, find a way to support that, and then I've got an idea of how I'm going to do it, so I'll set that up, and then we'll see if we can hammer this off. Okay, to get the lower control arm off, I don't have one of these fancy hooks, but this is just my my brake caliper hook, and it's just a long bar, and then a little mechanical advantage, and this becomes very easy to do. You get this out of the way, and off we go. So why is it not pulling out? Well, again, I'm going to have to pound the shaft in a little bit. It's not stuck, but it's not free, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So our lower control arm is out, and our drive shaft is free of the hub. So here's my setup. I've got a piece of stiff wire, put a bolt back in the hub, and I've tied it on the spring. This is temporary. Once this is separated, I can tie this off to something else, or support it or put it back on the lower control arm, which is probably what I'm going to do. And I've pushed out the drive shaft, so now if you can see, the drive shaft is free to move around. And so I'm going to put this tool back in, and then we can pound the knuckle down, and without worrying of it damaging anything or pulling these lines too tight or whatever. So let's okay. Got the hammer. I have a punch. Not too sure if this is going to work, but oh, there we go. Piece of cake. You're almost off. That could be my wire is too long, or too short, I should say. Let's try again. Wire's tight. I think I'm almost there, but it needs to go down a little further, so I'm gonna have to lengthen this, and then let's try again. Okay, so the strut is now off the knuckle. Slid right off once I got it down a certain amount. The inside looks good. There's a bit of rust. We'll clean that up. So I've put a big wire, or it's stiff wire, between one of the holes in the control arm at the back there, the lower control arm, and where the bolt goes. And I've got this, the lower ball joint sitting through one of the holes here. So that's supporting this well, and the hoses and the ABS sensor cable are not under stress. The drive shaft is loose. We can see there's some rusting in these splines. We're going to clean that up, put some anti-seize before we put it on. So now this is free, other than the 3 bolts that are holding it on the top. So let's get that out. So I've taken this rubber stripping off, and then just used a bungee cord to hold up this plastic trim instead of taking it off. And then it's a 13 millimeter. I'm just going to crack this with the wrench. I'm going to have to use the socket on the back one. It's hard to see there, but it's behind. There it is. It's behind there. I'll have to use a socket on that one. And then I'm going to spin the back 2 ones out, and then you have to hold on to the strut with your hand, because it will drop as soon as you take that last screw out. So take the old strut out of the tower. There's 3 bolts, and I've already got the back one out. It was a little tricky to do. I had to use a ratcheting wrench, but I'll be able to use power tool to get the outside one and the front one out. So when you do this, get one hand on, I like to grab one of the coils on the spring, and you know, whichever one is sort of easiest to get to is the one you do last. And there we go. All right, so orient the strut assembly with the key facing in towards the engine, and then get it up inside the fender well in position. Turn it until you can see the threads in the hole. And this is the part which is the fun part, because you've got to get this started while you're holding with one hand, while you're holding the weight with the other hand. Oh, looky there. Is that any good? Got them started. Make sure it's going the right way. These aftermarket ones have a different bolt. They're 10 millimeter headed instead of 13. They're still a grade 10-9 bolt. So first two are easy. The back one is the one that takes all the time. There's no sense in you watching that. Well, I got all the bolts in. Got the torque wrench set to 20 foot-pounds. And this one in the back here, there's a plastic, I'm gonna call it a water drain trough or whatever. There's no way I can get no way I can get the torque wrench in there. So we're just gonna have to use the ratchet wrench and torque it to the German good and tight. Just wanted to show you before we start the inside of this. I don't know if you can see, there's a little lip at the bottom that covers about half the diameter of this space, and that's where the strut has to bottom out. This edge here needs to come in contact with that. That's how it sits. And then, but to put it in, you need to put the spreader tool back in. Can't really do that until I've taken the wire off. And I've prepared the shaft with some copper anti-seize and cleaned out, well, I cleaned it first and cleaned out the splines inside the hub so that it goes together nice and easy, and it should come apart easy next time it's removed. Anyway, we want to make sure these lines stay loose. You don't pull on them while you're putting it together. It's a bit of a juggling act. I'm going to get the camera going, but I may have to edit it because it might be difficult for you guys to see because I may get, you know, in the way. So anyway, I'll do my best. We'll see how this goes. Get you on the tripod here and get going. All right. Well, let's just see how lucky I get here. This is the part of the job that if you had two people, it would be a little bit easier. Make sure that your brake line goes over the top of the knuckle, and get your drive shaft all right. Install my tool. There we go. Now there's a couple of millimeter taper on this strut going into here. Let's keep that in mind. Just well, this is not going very good. Well, we'll hold there for a second while I get something. Alright, so I've got a 2x2 support underneath the ball joint, and I've got the little flag oriented, and I've got the tool in spreading it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just give it a little shake, lower the car a little bit, so, and then I'm going to come back, give it another little shake, and it should slowly go down and until we're in here. You can see it moving about a little bit. There we go. It's going up pretty good now. Still got a bit to go, or maybe halfway in. Just a little patience, I guess. How much? A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Oh yeah. You go. Be patient. You start. Start to see that here. Yeah, it's not there. Okay, probably go faster. A little rest. And we're just going to oh, okay. Yeah. It's not letting me now. Yeah, sound change with this. Yeah. So now I'm set up to get the ball joint bolts in, but we got to get this drive shaft in first. So orient it into the hole, and you may need to give this a little spin to get the splines to go in. Alright, so now get the bar, the hook, push down the control arm, and align the bolts, go into the lower control arm, and make sure the splines on the drive shaft are coming through. So it needs to be long enough for the bolt to grab it. And we are not there yet. So I get it. And we'll keep it holding. There. Turn it over it. Take a little look up. There we go. Alright, so should be able to pull this in pretty easy. If it's really hard to do, is wrong. It's it's not lined up. But there we go. So that's back together. Good. To tighten this guy, and the spec is 52 foot-pounds plus a quarter turn, which means it's a torque to yield bolt, which means it should be replaced. So, but again, I wasn't given one for this job. So, so what I'm going to do is we want to make sure we don't go over about 100. I'm going to go maybe 90, 95 foot-pounds. And I'm going to see if I can get the 90 degrees. I'm going to have to do it in 2 increments here. But if it goes over that 90 foot-pounds, then I'm going to stop because the bolt's already stretched. 2, 4, 6, 8. All right, how many clicks for quarter turn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 clicks. So we need 4 more clicks. There we go. So I was able to do the quarter turn without going to 95 foot-pounds. So we're going to leave it like that. There we go. And all right, put the clip in. There we go, all in. And then orient the ABS sensor. Done. Time to tighten these up. These are torque to 44 foot-pounds. I'll put the torque wrench on it now. Once that's I forgot to show you, but I just torqued the sway bar end link to the strut. It's 48 foot-pounds. Got that done. So next thing I'll be showing you will be when the car's on the ground and we're going to be torquing the wheel bolts. Alright, so I did it and didn't turn the camera on, sorry. Get the car on the ground, the wheels on, get the car on the ground with the center cap off, tighten the bolt. This is the 12-point bolt. When you have that, tighten to 52 foot-pounds and then turn 90 degrees is how that works. To turn 90 degrees you need a pretty big bar. You're pulling a couple hundred foot-pounds, but you want to do it when the car's on the ground, and then you're done. So that is it for this job. Again, I want to thank you for watching Gary's Garage. Got any comments? Please leave them below. If you like what I'm doing on the channel, please subscribe. If you like the video, please click like. We all like any kind of feedback we can get. Helps us with YouTube. So do what you can. Thanks for tuning in to Gary's Garage. We'll see you on the next one.